Hey, I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. Now, today I want to talk a little bit about the third and final film in the recent Halloween trilogy from 2002. We're going to talk about Halloween Ends. Now, for those not familiar with it, I'm sure you are, but they had the original Halloween, not the original Halloween. This was a sequel to the original Halloween that came out, and the first in the trilogy of this. And I thought this one was fairly solid, and they followed it with Halloween Kills. Now, Halloween Kills I didn't like as much, but in this trilogy, so the first of the three films takes place on Halloween, and then the Halloween Kills takes place on the second part of that same night. So those two films take place on the same night, but then this third one here takes place 3 years later. Now, this was when I first heard them when they first announced Halloween Ends. I was like, does it really have to end, and will it? Is the question. But I thought it was a little premature to go ahead and call it Ends at the time. But they wanted to end the trilogy, and I guess that this particular this filmmaking group was losing the rights to it. So I guess they had a plan. And if you look at the three films, there is a bit of a plan going on. I know that's what they pitched, where we're going to do this is first night, and then the second part of the first night, and then 3 years later, and the kind of fallout of everything that happened from those nights. Michael Myers in these films was kind of at first comes off as he is human, but at the end of the second one, he does seem to have almost superhuman strength. He doesn't appear on screen very much in Halloween Ends. He's ultimately is the main antagonist, but there is another antagonist that they set up in a character named Corey. Jamie Lee Curtis is top billed in all three of the films, but here she is kind of she is in the film a pretty good bit really in this one, but she plays her and her granddaughter are kind of main characters in here, and this kid named Corey starts dating her granddaughter. But before that, there's a scene at the beginning of the film that took place a few years earlier where the kid is babysitting another kid. Now, Corey's babysitting this other kid for these parents, and he accidentally kills the kid in this pretty horrific scene. And then it cuts to these years later where and this is something that they really tried to work with in several of the Halloween films, where they have like a character who starts to become Michael Myers instead of Michael Myers. They try to set Daniel Harris's character up that way, like where this character over time would become Michael Myers. And you can kind of see with Rob Zombie's Halloween, even though they explored the backstory of Michael Myers more, so you saw the transition in Rob Zombie's here, where you see this other kid kind of transitioning similarly. Even in Rob Zombie's films, it almost seemed like they were maybe setting Laurie up to become like his sister, to become the next Michael Myers. And now Jimmy Lee Curtis, who plays Laurie, they ignore Halloween 2 in this trilogy, so she's not his sister anymore. But instead, they bring this Corey character in, and they start kind of transitioning. He actually interacts with Michael Myers. He finds him in a sewer, and he interacts with him. And he kind of, I guess Michael Myers is in bad shape, and he starts to kind of help him kill people. And so, I had a hard time with this movie. I watched half of it about a year ago, and I didn't finish it. I was very I'm just not feeling it. It's very hard to see, especially when you see this Corey character interacting with Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter, and there's a pretty good thing going on. He's got some hope going on with this girl, and instead of like picking that direction and starting a nice relationship with this other woman, he decides to start killing people. It's a hard decision, but now I will say, so I didn't watch it. I was having a hard time with it then, but I decided to go ahead and pick it back up last night, and I watched it. And the second half of this film is terrific. There's something with the mask and Michael Myers and this trilogy in general. I think the power comes from the mask, because at one point and I thought it was really annoying. He goes in there and steals the mask from Michael Myers, and Michael Myers just lets him get away with it. And he takes the mask, puts it on, and he almost becomes like Michael Myers. And he goes on a killing spree it's pretty damn impressive. And it's pretty gruesome, some of the kills. So the second half of the movie is a great improvement over it, and really I think now like, I was really hating this movie last year, but I think over time that people are going to maybe appreciate this more. And especially and then the ending. I don't want to give the whole ending away, but I will say that it does end. I'm going to go ahead and rate the film. I'm going to rate the movie. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Last year I probably would have given it 2. Maybe next year I'll give it higher, but I'm going to do 3.5 stars for now. This is a 4K release, and I didn't get a slipcover with this one. I did get one with kills, but I was a little disappointed it came without one. But it is what it is. So you got a Blu-ray and a 4K. It looks great. Really, the 4K looks terrific. It's a new movie, and usually when you have a new movie in 4K, it looks like it should. It's probably a digital shot movie, and it actually has some pretty cool cinematography in it too. And it kind of treats this film like a little bit different than some of the other ones. It treats it almost like I guess a coming of age type of a movie, and then suddenly turns into a horrific like slasher film by the end of it. And I will congratulate the filmmakers on trying to do something different with the franchise. Obviously, you're doing slasher movies, and you don't want to always do the same thing. So they did do something different. It wasn't what people were expecting or what they wanted, because I don't know if people really know what they want from these. I mean, obviously, they don't want the same thing over and over again, because then they're going to make that complaint like it's the same thing. It was really the first one in this trilogy, the first Halloween of the reboot, was almost in some ways very similar to the very first Halloween, but so people were a little bit complaining about it being like the Force Awakens version of Halloween. But by the Halloween ends, this is maybe a little bit of like the Last Jedi version. It kind of goes a little off the rails in a way you don't expect, but it is interesting. So let me know what your thoughts are on the film. If you haven't done so already, if you go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm Dave Watkins. Thanks for watching.